Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Welcome to another edition of the England Rogers Sports Hour on Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio. As you can see, it's not Roger here with me today. I have a guest host, MONALI Patel. Um, MONALI is a former national cricketer for Canada, and also she is an ICC coach educator. She is also a commentator. So, Manali, good morning and welcome to the England Rogers Sports Hour.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Yes, as usual, we normally talk about, I mean, things that are like happening in the sporting world, but we also start a bit with about the weather conditions. And for this time of the year, it's fantastic. You can't ask for a better weather. It's like summer outside.
It's unreal for Canada, especially to have this sort of weather in fall. I mean, we haven't seen the beautiful colors on the trees, partly because of it, but I'll take the warmth.
Yeah, I was listening to the news the other day, and they were talking about because of the warmth, the colors are not coming in as quickly as it should. And but yeah, I'll take the warmth. Like a couple more days of golf, maybe. So definitely, we'll be happy to get out this weekend, play some golf, and don't have to be bundled up.
We have to go golfing together sometime, Ingle. We've spoken about this for a while.
Yes, we will definitely do that, and we are gonna get out on the golf course. Not this year, definitely next year, or maybe one. You might be somewhere where we are together outside with a game, cricket game going on. You might be commentating. I might be at the game, so it'll be an opportunity to play some golf together.
Got it. We'll work something out.
Definitely. We're gonna start off. We're gonna discuss a lot of stuff sports today, as usual. We have tennis. We've got NFL is happening, and something that I've gotten into quite a bit lately is the WNBA. They've talked about the millions of new fans that they have, and I must say I'm one of those new ones. So a bit about the WNBA because Minnesota and New York are tied in a battle 2-2, and the winner takes all tomorrow, the championship. So looking forward to that. And also Formula One after a 3 week break back in the USA this weekend. Cricket, of course, a lot of cricket happening. The Women's World Cup test matches going on, gripping test matches, ODIs, T20Is, track and field. Not a lot happening, but the longer races, some marathons this weekend we'll talk about. And we will end with some football, soccer, for those who you want to call it soccer, discussions on the Premier League. But I want to start off with some tennis and really the news of Rafael Nadal retiring. And not surprising totally because of how he's gone for the last few years, but some of his fans are not happy to see him go.
Yeah, I mean, what an absolute legend he's been for the game of tennis over the years. And I suppose when it's your time, you know it. And he's one of those to realize that his time's up. He's having a lot of injury struggles over the years, and he's also struggling to pull off those big titles that he's pulled off so regularly in the past. So it'll be a big loss to the tennis world for sure. But we do have some up and coming players as well, and I suppose it's just a matter of passing the baton to the ones coming up. But a big loss to tennis overall.
Yes, a big loss. And as you said, there are a lot of youngsters coming up. He lost to Alcaraz earlier this week, and he's going to be playing against Novak Djokovic for his final match, which, I mean, couldn't ask for a better game to be the final game.
Yeah, and
Uh,
hoping he actually gets onto the court because he's mentioned if he doesn't feel 100% that he could win, he's not going to take the court.
and I don't think he's going to win.
He's still got the confidence as he leaves.
Yes, it's good to have that confidence. But you never know because Djokovic has not been at his best recently. So, but that match goes at 7 p.m., is it? Um, I think it's today at 7 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. And it's in Saudi Arabia. I know that for a fact. That's his the new exhibition events that they started there, and yeah, the Saudis actually getting so involved in sports recently
Yeah,
that
they're starting to make a bit of a hub, aren't they, for sport and just viewership overall, multiple sports adventures.
They are. And well, speaking to a gentleman from Saudi Arabia earlier this year, and he said they're actually going to be building a Formula One track for night racing, and that's their big thing. That's their biggest draw that they want to bring people over for. But yeah, but they're getting into everything. They've gotten into golf. They've gotten into. There was some talk about a big cricket event in Saudi Arabia as well, probably to rival the IPL, but we haven't seen anything of that yet. So I'm not sure. In fact, I'm looking here now, and I guess I'm a day late with the game because Djokovic beat Nadal. Was it? It looks like. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong score. Sorry, but that was just coming up. I saw 6-4, 6-1, but I think that was going back to the Olympics, not the current one. But yeah, but I'm looking forward to see what happens in that match, and hopefully we will. It's not even about who wins that match for me. It's about seeing them together on the court and seeing them end playing together. It would have been great if Federer and Nadal would have played against each other, but Federer is long retired, so I don't think we'll see that again unless an exhibition sometime in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see them not coming up for exhibition games in the future, but certainly momentous to see this last game, and he's going up against a rival that's been around for years as well.
Yes, it's been good for both of them. Anything else you want to talk on tennis before we get off of that and maybe talk a bit about the WNBA?
Um, what couple of things that I'd come across, the doping issue with Janik Skinner, who's currently sitting
Yeah,
at number one. Um, the WADA's
yeah,
still trying to pin him down for it and try and get him banned for at least 1 to 2 years. None of his Grand Slam titles are going to take a hit necessarily, but they're still trying to pursue it as hard as they can. Um, we'll have to see how that ends up playing out, but he obviously continues to claim that it wasn't on his part, it wasn't intentional. Um, we'll have to see how that ends up.
yeah. Raj and I has discussed this, and we think that like for one of the things I say, like athletes are always told you're responsible for what goes into your body. So
Mm-hmm.
what it says he didn't know, and it's his trainer or his physio or somebody, that doesn't matter. And especially when it comes to track and field, they still get banned. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he should be responsible, held responsible, and he was cleared. The ITIAs, they said they defended the process, but as you said, WADA is pursuing it. They appealed it, and they are hoping to get a ban. And he said he doesn't understand. Um, but the International Tennis Integrity says, "Hey, we've cleared him." So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the WADA case.
Yeah, and sometimes I mean when you're banned for a couple of years, it throws you off your rhythm as well as a player. You're sitting at number one, you're winning, you've got your rhythm, and then suddenly something like that happens. That being said, though, I mean, as a professional athlete, you have to be so careful, and it is on you. The onus is on you to make sure what goes into your body, especially when you're competing at the highest level, and you know that you're going to be drug tested. It's going to be random at times.
It's going to be tested for sure and see those things happen. So we will keep following that, and one day I'm sure we will get an answer and tell you whether he's banned or he was cleared by WADA as well. So interesting case that's going to be coming up. And as you said, if he gets banned, I think you're going to see it's going to be difficult to get back to number one.
Hmm. Yeah.
We want to talk a bit about some WNBA because that series is in a tied up 2-all, and it's the Minnesota and New York. Minnesota were down 2-1, but playing at home, they were able to win a close one last night to make sure that they got back to a 2-all and force a game five and 80-80. I mean, I almost said a game seven because the men is a game seven, and I'm sure that one day the women will say, we need to be playing 7 games as well. We need equal as the men. So there, I think this first discussion that's going to come up in the WNBA is probably pay equity because it's so, and I mean it's such a disparity. It's like night and day, to be honest. Some of the women are making just around $100,000 and putting on a show just as good as the men, and the men are making millions.
It's a matter of time. I mean, we can talk about it with every sport that's happening in women's sport in general, but the fact that we have made the steps that we have and the progress that we have in a short amount of time speaks a lot, and speaks a lot in terms of the development of the sport and the support that they're getting. Yes, there's still big parity between the two, but I think if women continue to showcase the way they have been, and it's not to say that women in the past have not showcased well, but with the advancement of technology, fitness standards, competitive standards improving, there is definitely a genuine push as to why women should be coming close to that equality in terms of payment. Um, we still have a ways to go, but it does come down to the improvement of performance, and it does come down to putting out a product that people want to see, which we're seeing that a lot of women's sports are now getting pushed. Women's NBA, one of them.
Yeah. And yeah, because tennis, I mean, you get the same pay for certain
Hmm.
tournaments. Cricket, Australia has said equal pay for both men and women. I think India has the same thing too in cricket. So it's getting there, and eventually it will, because I think you're seeing the viewership, the quality of play in the women's sport
Yeah.
is just improving so much. So we hopefully that will happen. But the WNBA, actually, I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game. I'm
Hmm.
sort of um, I'm sort of on the Minnesota, looking for Minnesota win. I mean, a lot of people are looking for
Is it
Minnesota.
is it an underdog thing for you, or
Yeah, I think so. I just want to see the underdog win. I don't want to. I don't like to see always the person who's expected to win just just go through and just it happens. So yeah, it's an underdog thing.
yeah? I mean, pushing Game 5 when they were almost out is massive. So tomorrow will be an exciting one to see who's finally crowned champions in the final.
Yes, for sure. We will keep an eye on that and then update accordingly. So just before we get into some cricket, we will talk about Formula One, which, as I said, miss we are off for about 3 weeks, but they're back on in the US, and it's the US Grand Prix taking place. And I think Max Verstappen must be smiling today because he is on the pole for the sprint race. His rival for the title is 52 points behind him. Um, London Norris, he is in fourth position. You got Leclerc um, is in third, and George Russell is in second for the pole. So I think Verstappen, who's been fussing quite a bit recently, he'll be happy to know that he has a US pole. And Hamilton, he's not up there. He's, I think, in the seventh position. And you've got Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg in front of him. So the sprint is something that I've not really been a big fan of, but they use the sprint to determine the pole for the. They get points from that, plus they get use the sprint to determine who starts on pole in the big race tomorrow. So and it's not universal. So it's some races do it and some don't. So I believe that you should have a system, the same system for determining pole throughout.
Yeah, to be honest, the Grand Prix is not something that I followed. And after your invitation on this show, I'm like, okay, well, let's read up on this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that it's not generalized around the world. Um, but so tomorrow's a big race, is what you're saying.
Tomorrow's race, but today is actually the sprint. So and the winner of the sprint gets the pole position for tomorrow's big race. So and I'll say edge to Max Verstappen at the moment because Lando Norris is hard in a sprint, I think, to make up make up and get closer. So I think you can almost bet once the car is going well that Verstappen will be on the pole tomorrow, and Norris will just have to drive his best to catch him if because once I think that Verstappen's car is in good shape, then he's very hard to catch. And a lot of recently he's been complaining about this not getting the fastest car, but I think if you're a good driver and you have similar cars, you should be able to maneuver. I mean, Lewis Hamilton has had a horrible year, and some people are saying that he's been because he's announced he's leaving Mercedes, that maybe they're sabotaging his year. But he's won a couple of races, but who knows? That's always something to talk about in sports. People always have some sort of theory when it comes to these sports.
And the cars, so Verstappen's with Red Bull
Red Bull,
and Russell's with Mercedes.
Russell and
Um,
Hamilton,
so,
Mercedes.
but are the cars generally made to the same sort of specs to be able to race? What are the regulations on that?
They have regulations on it, but somehow some of them they don't get the regulations as good. Some cars are better, some are faster, and especially some are faster down the straight, from what I understand, and some faster on the turn. So I think they have the technology. A lot of them have used the AI technology to get their
Mm.
cars the edge. And Verstappen definitely had the edge at the early start of the season, but the other cars during the break have caught up to him. So the technology is there, they're using it, and they push it to the limits as much as they can. And car racing is actually fascinating. I didn't follow it for a long time, but then, I think it's in Montreal where Russell beat Hamilton, but then it was overturned because his car, the weight of his car was too light at the end of it, so he has used up too much fuel or something or the other. So, yeah, it's very interesting to see how the Formula One, and if you dive into it, and even I've never been at the Formula One, but I've been at the Grand Prix, I think, in Indianapolis, and
Hmm.
those guys are loud.
Loud and fast.
Yes, loud and fast for sure. So we'll get into you're listening to the England Rogers Sports Hour on Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio. And with me is Manali Patel sitting in for Roger today, who's got other commitments. And Manali, we can get into some cricket now. I think you've been following cricket for sure. And we're going to start with the Women's World Cup because heartbreak for I guess West Indies yesterday and Australia the day before in the semifinals, and two teams who have never won the World Cup. So you're gonna have a new World Cup winner for sure in the women's game this coming tomorrow actually.
I mean, it's been a World Cup of surprises because it's been 15 years since the last time Australia was not featured in a final.
Hmm.
And the fact that New Zealand have beaten India to start with a massive margin and then to beat the West Indies yesterday, they had a terrible run up coming into the World Cup. So for them to even end up in a final is shocking. It was 10 consecutive losses that they had had coming into the World Cup in T20s. So they've come out with their best during the World Cup when it mattered. I still feel like South Africa probably has an edge on them because they are coming in from better form and they have been quite consistent performing into the World Cup. Um, as a fellow African, I think you know where my loyalties stand on that one.
Yeah, I think when I looked at the games South Africa actually I didn't give South Africa a chance against Australia, but they played an aggressive brand of cricket.
Mhm.
In fact, from the toss, like winning the toss and decided we're going to chase in a game like that.
Yeah,
And it's always tough chasing, but they chased, and the way they chased it, it was so, I mean, it was great to watch. And
yeah.
yeah, I think I was surprised actually, but pleasantly surprised.
Well, Laura Wolvart and Bosch, I mean, the innings that they played, it was just fantastic. They anchored it as long as they could, and Bosch finishing the job at the end. Australia could say we had injuries, we didn't have our skipper, whatever the excuses, but they're world champions and they have been for a long time. And they've lost against a side that was better in every department on the day that it mattered.
Yeah, and it wasn't even close because I mean, it was chased down in 17 overs,
Yeah.
so 17.2. And as you said, Laura Wolvert and Bosch. I mean, it was a pleasure to watch Bosch. Actually, I saw her trying to sweep and she was missing, and then eventually she got it right, and she just played some fantastic cricket shots. And the 74 in 48 was something to watch, and then 42 in 37 by bowled out. And as you said, Australia, yes, without your captain, but you have 15 players, and all of them, and you are good players, and you haven't been out of a World Cup of 15 years. You must come
Mhm.
in as favorite. And I think they were stunned at the approach by South Africa.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the flip side, the West Indies, I mean, they've also had a fairly poor run coming into the World Cup, but the fact that they were in the semis They've done very well for themselves, absolutely, but they just couldn't pull off a low score against New Zealand yesterday. Heartbreak, because they were very close to making that final, the second final, giving themselves to win their second World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, as a West Indian, I felt it. I mean, looking at those girls with the tears and the sadness, I felt it myself because I didn't give West Indies a chance in the game against England. I just thought they haven't beaten England from, I don't know, is it 20 games, last 20 games or whatever it was, a big number. So I didn't give them a chance, but the way they approached that too and they won, I thought they had a chance. I didn't think 128 from New Zealand was going to be
Mhm.
enough, but I didn't watch most of the game, but I watched the highlights, and yeah, New Zealand fought and they wanted it. But I think the biggest surprise for me in this World Cup was that England and India not even getting past the first round.
You know what? India is not a surprise to me, because I just feel that they're really far behind when it comes to the quicker format of the game. They still play a brand of cricket that's not current
Mhm.
when it comes to the T20s. And the Women's Premier League is going to help. I mean, they've introduced it. It's been 1 year, second year about to come in. It will help bring their players into the modern era of T20 cricket. So it doesn't necessarily surprise me that they were there, but England is a big shocker. I mean, they were one of the favorites to be in the finals, if not,
Yes,
if not pick up the trophy after a hard fought game against an Australia, because you would expect that those two would have dominated.
that's what I think everyone was expecting in India, I mean England and Australia final, but it's not to be. And yeah, two teams, South Africa. As who do you have? You said South Africa as the edge.
I think so. I think they do. They've played well leading into the World Cup. They have some informed players in Laura Woolvart and Gabosh. They've got Tryon as well, lower down, who can strike a ball pretty big. And then their bowlers are doing well. I mean, they have a solid, well-rounded side. So I would feel quite comfortable if I was a South African going into this. And New Zealand have had serious troubles coming into the World Cup. So it's going to be a matter of who comes out on top, but I think South Africa have the edge on this one.
Yeah, I'm with you with that. I think South Africa has the edge. And 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, for those of you who want to watch the game, 10 o'clock start Eastern time. And on finals in Dubai. And let's just hope the weather and everything is good. But I think there's a rain day. Usually for the finals, not for the other games, but for the
Mhm.
finals, there's usually a rain day. But we don't want to have rain. We want to have a good 20 over match, and the best team wins. And one of the teams, I don't know if you follow the social media and ICC with the when the it was when the South African girls were told that they qualified. I don't know if you saw that video, and they were all shocked, and they were saying like they don't understand how this runway thing works, and they didn't know like some of them were asking questions like, "Are you kidding? Are you seeing how did we get in?" So it was just amazing to see them so and genuinely shocked when they were
Yeah.
told that we are in. But I didn't think there would. I thought that even if West Indies, when I looked at it without doing any calculation, I just thought if it was a close game and West Indies won, England would still be in. So when I saw South
Hmm.
Africa was in, I was a bit surprised myself, but happy for them.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's a story of two underdogs at the end of the day. So whoever wins, it's going to be a heartwarming story.
It is definitely going to be a hot one in story. So tomorrow, 10 o'clock, I know where you'll be in front of the TV watching. So yeah, that's something yeah, I'm gonna watch the game as well, unless someone calls me and say, "Hey, I got a tea time." But yeah, for now I don't have any, so I would probably watch the game. And if there's someone calls and say, "Hey, we want to play golf," I'd probably just say, "Let's play in the afternoon after the game," because I'd really like to watch the finals and
Hmm.
give my support, um, full support to the women's game. We're gonna get onto some Test cricket because a lot of intriguing Test matches are going on. And first one I want to talk about is the ongoing one with India and New Zealand. And India getting ball out for 46. I mean, one first it was rained out. India won the toss, decided to bat, and 46 was shocking, to say the
It
least.
was, I mean, shocking is an understatement, isn't it, for India in India against New Zealand? And they're still not out of the woods. I mean, New Zealand, they only need 107 to win when they come out. It's day five, but 107 isn't much. So unless they're able to pick up those wickets, India, I think that's it. They're gonna be one down.
But it's when it's off 46, I thought was it their lowest score, but it's not. It's not their lowest score. They were bowled out for 36 in 2020 in Adelaide, and prior to that, they were bowled out for 42 at Lords in England, and in 1974. So two lower scores on that. But this one, as you said, I believe India won the toss and decided, you know what, our best chances is batting first. Not they don't want to bat fourth on this pitch because they know it's going to deteriorate. It's starting
Mm-hmm.
to play tricks. And 46, if they made 100, it would have been good. But 46, and then a good reply by New Zealand, 402.
Yeah,
Ravinder, actually Ravindra is 134.
yeah,
It's a good player, and I'm happy to see him get along the runs. And Devon Conway, sorry that he missed out on his 100. He had 91. But for a time there, because I was up late last night watching the game, because I wanted to see how it unfolded. And Safraz Khan, I don't know if you've seen him, but he's very unorthodox. He's not the type
hmm,
of player that I expect India would select for a test cricket. But the thing, he plays some shots that don't look like cricket shots, but he scores runs. Already got 15 first class hundreds. So I think he just fought and worked his way into the India team. They couldn't leave him out. He had a great Ranji Trophy season,
yeah,
and he's averaging 70 in first
yeah,
class cricket. So how do you leave out a player like that? Although he's not a Rahul Dravid or a Virat Kohli, he doesn't look pretty on the ice, but he's effective.
he's effective. I mean, he scored quite a lot of runs in that second innings to put India in a comfortable position. 150, I believe, if I'm not wrong.
Yes, 150. Yes.
150, and we talk about, well, you and I talk about this all the time when we're running our courses. It's, technique's one thing, orthodox is one thing, but effectivity is another thing. And if he's able to put on the scores as he has in first class cricket and now for India, then there's no reason why he shouldn't be on that team.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting when Gil is fit. What's gonna happen? Are they gonna
Yeah.
leave him out, or maybe Carol Raul will be kicked out and Gil comes back in? We'll see what happens. Because Carol Raul, he had an opportunity now, I guess, to show his worth and cement, but zero duck in the first innings and then 12 in the second inning.
Yeah.
And at one point, when I fell asleep, got up, checked the score, and I saw 402 for three.
Yeah.
Thought, okay, India's gonna win this game because they're gonna
Yeah.
score 600. But then once Pant, and I'm sorry for
Mhm.
Pant that he got 99,
Yeah.
you know? And once I saw those two got out, it was just no resistance, and they were out for 462. So just a further 60 runs from where I saw that.
Mhm.
So and I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how this unfolds. In fact, they lost their last what there were 408 when Safaz got out, so and then 433 when Pant got out. So the last five wickets were just 29 runs.
Yeah. And that's one of the things that India's had an issue with as well, isn't it? Just their tail enders not being handy with the bat whatsoever. And it's something that we're seeing the New Zealands, the Australias, the Englands, the South Africas, they have batting until number 11. They want to make sure that everyone is able to hold their own. And when you're in tight positions like this is when your tail end's really exposed. And India's continued to have this problem. They just haven't invested enough in their bowlers with the bat.
Yeah, occasionally you get a good score from Ashwin, but not very often enough, not consistent. Jadeja has been going through a rough time. Yadav, Bumrah, Siraj, they're not going to give you much. So
Mhm.
the long tail. And the interesting thing, because I was watching, I mean, Bumrah bowled four balls and then the umpire offered light. And the Indians they didn't want to go off the field, you know. They wanted, but then,
Keep bowling.
yeah, they wanted to keep going, but then just, I mean, when they eventually went off, within 2 minutes after going off the field, it started pouring rain.
Yeah.
It was too dark. There's a light meter that just set the standard. for a light. I mean, but captains, they want to get New Zealand is in an uncomfortable position because you could get 2 or 3 wickets early in that morning, even 1 or 2 early before tomorrow start. Then you feel like you're getting control of the game. But now you've got India and New Zealand coming in with all 10 wickets starting tomorrow, just chasing 107. It's a different ball game.
Yeah.
So we will keep an eye on that test match, and we won't be able to update you until next week. But New Zealand, after a bad run, look like they're in a good opportunity to win a test match.
With just 107 runs, you would think New Zealand should come out on top.
You'd think so, but I don't believe it's going to be very easy.
I, Not with Bumrah on that side.
No, and Ashwin is going to
And
back
Ashwin.
from the other end, and it's going to be difficult for them. So we will keep an eye on that. And the other series ongoing, another series is Pakistan and England. A very interesting series. England won the first test, and then Pakistan surprisingly decided to use the same pitch and play 6 spinners, right?
Yes.
And yeah, it's they won and
1-1 series.
won
And
one.
England was quite surprised that they played on the same venue, on the same ground, same pitches again. They were shocked that this was happening.
They were very much so shocked, and it looked like it was a last-minute decision to use that same pitch, play one fast bowler, and I'm sure England is going to be one day. And the next game is supposed to be Rawalpindi, so it should be a different ground. I hope. Well, they have to fly out to Rawalpindi or move there because it's going to be on Thursday.
Hmm.
Don't know if there are going to be any surprises to say, hey, stay there. But
Yeah.
I'm sure in Rawalpindi you're going to get another spinning pitch.
When the spinners had a really good time, didn't they? No, MONALI picked up 11, Sajid 9, Jack Leach 14. They've had a good run in terms of wickets, the spinners, but from a batting perspective, I mean, England, after coming out very well in that first game, winning it by some margin, the second game was a real struggle.
Yeah, the pitch on the first game, a lot of runs scored in that first game.
Hmm.
But then, yeah, Norman Ali's very interesting. He's 38 years old, but he's still playing. He's made his debut only in 2021. So those people who said when you're in your 30s you should be done, I mean, he's showing that he's still just starting his career. Actually, he's only played 16 Test matches.
Yeah, I suppose it's a bit different with spinners too, I think. Doesn't take as much out of your body as it does for a pace bowler. Can't see a pace bowler debuting at 38.
And I mean, well, it's normal now, I guess, especially in the subcontinent where you see these spinners opening the bowling. But
Hmm.
England opened with Jack Leach in the second and Bashir in the second innings. So yeah, I think it's something that they realize that you have to do. Spinners must be able to use a new ball, and I'm looking forward to the next test. The winner takes all. So interesting. I like when series are set up like that, and it's not just boring 2-0 or 3-0. So it's interesting. Makes you want to see and watch, see what's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, the draws are all but done, eh? We haven't seen a draw in a while.
You haven't seen a draw in a while, actually.
Yeah.
That's so true. And another test series starts tomorrow, and some drama around it, actually. This one is with Bangladesh and South Africa because I think on Thursday they have Bangladesh announced a new coach. Phil Simmons is now the coach of Bangladesh after they fired after a singer. So, and besides that, as Shakib Al Hassan pulled out last minute, and not because of injury or anything, but because of protests, because he was
Mhm.
a member of parliament with the ousted government. And from what I'm hearing, from since he played in the GT20, he hasn't been back to Bangladesh.
No,
And
he hasn't. He was at the recent tournament that I was in at the 60 Strikes with the National Cricket League, and So was Phil Simmons actually, and we had a conversation. I clearly asked him, "What's next for you?" And he did not mention coaching Bangladesh in that conversation.
Maybe he didn't know at the time because it seems like something very last. There was a new president came in for Bangladesh, and he fired the coach.
Hmm.
And Phil Simmons is there until the 2025 Champions Trophy. So it's probably all happened very quickly. But just I know when we had the GT20 there, we were told that there is probably going to be a protest. So the security and police were on alert here because of Shakib Al Hassan's involvement in the league and his government affiliation. I didn't even know at the time that he was a member of parliament.
Hmm.
So his government is out, and he hasn't gone home.
Yeah, it's really he's actually been in New York for quite some time since the GT20. He's played a little bit of cricket in the US, and then I think he's also involved in the Abu Dhabi T10, if
Yeah,
I'm not wrong. But he's avoiding going back home because,
he,
and I'm surprised because the government did say that he wouldn't be held on any charges if he was to go back, but I suppose
right.
he's just not comfortable enough.
He flew to Bangladesh. I mean, to Pakistan to play for
Hmm.
Bangladesh in
Yeah,
that series, and I guess back to New York. So
yeah,
it's an interesting development, but yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. And even with the coach, he has said that it was premature, and the new president had already decided that he was going to get rid of him, and made allegations of him assaulting a player and breaching his terms of contract. So that's not going to be over that easily,
yeah.
and I'm sure you're going to see a case. So we'll keep an eye on that. That test match starts tomorrow. Other things that happened: West Indies, Sri Lanka, and West Indies, after winning the T20Is, first one easily, they lost the next two. Maybe a test of spin.
Yeah, and the second one was a shocker too. Big loss. I mean, West Indies just didn't show up with the bat at all.
No, they didn't. And it was the last match they decided to win. When they won the toss, they decided to chase, but it was not anywhere close either. So I think West, no, they batted first. Sorry, not chase. They chased in the second one. The third one they batted first, 162, but Sri Lanka just dominated 166 for one. So I think West Indies has a formula that they have to look at where they're playing, because no matter where they play, they go with all these fast bowlers. And there's some pitches that definitely need spin, but they still go with guys like Romario Shepherd, who I believe is just doing enough to get the batsmen going. He's not going to trouble them. And they have to look at some playing at some quality spinners. Although a lot of the West Indians, like Puran, didn't go there, so a lot of the top players didn't go. Said they for different reasons. So it was an opportunity to see the depth of West Indies cricket, and it looked good in the first one, but then after that, nothing.
Yeah, they've got the ODI starting as well tomorrow, so it'll be interesting to see how they adjust from the T20 loss into the ODIs.
Yeah,
But you're playing in the subcontinent, it's going to be spin heavy. Is something that you would assume that coaching staff and selectors should have been prepared for.
yes, you would have thought that, but they don't seem like they were prepared for that. And West Indies, I think even if they're prepared for it, they just feel that their fast bowlers maybe are good enough to do the job. But in this case, not at all. Another T20 series starting tomorrow. I started already, but the second game is today, is it?
USA Nepal.
USA Nepal, yeah.
Game number two is
It
today. Yes.
started already, yeah. It's Nepal won the first game, and a big difference from what happened to them in Canada, because
Hmm.
they got 164 for nine, and they were able to keep USA to 147. So that happens, I guess, when you play a certain form of cricket for a while, and the other team is not playing, and maybe the pitches too is something, because again they look like they went to spin, whereas USA used fast bowlers.
Hmm. Well, I mean, they could give Canada some credit for all the training that we've given them for the last
Yes.
month and a half. They played a lot of T20s here. And then Pukudu's joined as a mentor as well
Mm-hmm.
for that leg of the tour. So he's got insight on USA and, having coached them in the past, I'm sure there's some advantage there. But I am really surprised with the result of the first T20 because you would have assumed that USA is the stronger side. I mean, Canada struggled against USA and we were able to keep Nepal away quite comfortably. So the fact that they did lose and they lost by 17 runs, which is quite a bit in a T20, um,
Yes.
it'll be interesting to see how they end up today and if they're able to pull off a win. But Nepal very dominant in that first game.
Yeah, and I see for the USA that and Aaron Jones came back into the team, Nitish Kumar, at the expense of Nitish Kumar. And something that's surprising me with the US though that they're using Nitish for T20s instead of 50 over the ODIs, and he's more of an ODI player to me. I don't know if it's his choice, but he's lost his spot because he's had a bad run in the T20s, and he's now in the A team to play the 50 over warm up matches against Nepal and Scotland. So looking forward to that series coming up as well. And I think that's going to be Canada will be keeping an eye on that, probably
Mhm.
because Canada is top of the table at the moment, but the other teams have played less matches. So
Yeah.
hoping that Nepal can win some of those games.
Yeah, because they're sitting up, I think, number 7 on the table, if I'm not wrong.
Yes.
And we've played the most games. Canada's played the most games, but ideally, if you stick to one of those top 4 spots, it just makes it a lot easier with World Cup qualification.
Yeah, you have to stay up there, and if you can finish in top two, even better. But somewhere at the top, it will be good. And the current tables, I think Canada is 16, USA has 12, but 4 games less.
Hmm.
So very good opportunity to them. They
Yeah.
have an opportunity to get 8 points. They can go ahead. Scotland has only played 7 games. They have 9 points. They have that one game against United Arab Emirates that will be played some other time because there was a weather situation there what that they knew about before, so that game was not cancelled but postponed. So they have a game in hand there. So 7 games. And the other teams, Netherlands, 12 points, 8, Namibia, 10, 12 games. They play the same as Canada. And Canada's next outing is in Namibia. So
Mhm.
that's some interesting cricket coming up.
Yeah, Namibia didn't showcase very well against the last series. USA, UAE were over there. So Canada, I feel they should be one of those top 4 sides. I think USA is going to struggle against Scotland in the series coming up in the US in 1 week time. But I think between Scotland and Netherlands, they might end up with 1 or 2, if not thereabouts. And I think Canada will be in top 4, but they may struggle against Scotland and Netherlands. We saw the struggle against Netherlands this summer.
Yes, yeah, we saw that. And just to round up on the cricket, just some news and notes, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the track and field. We've got Curtly Ambrose actually was conferred with his honorary doctorate of laws by the University of West Indies Five Islands campus over the weekend. This prestigious recognition highlights Curtly's immense contributions not only to West Indies cricket but also to the broader sporting and cultural fabric of the Caribbean. And Dr. Kishore Shala extended his congratulations on behalf of the Cricket West Indies. So, congratulations from us to Curtly. He's well deserved. And Cricket West Indies, they've announced a partnership and mediaship rights with Pakistan for Middle Eastern, Pakistan, and North American, African, and South Asian markets. This agreement ensures that first fans across these regions will continue to enjoy exclusive broadcasts and digital access to West Indies international and regional cricket. CWS partnered with TapMad for the Pakistan market and QuickBuzz, owned by Times Internet for the MENA and C markets. These agreements cover live coverage for all upcoming West Indies home series, and regional tournaments, including Pakistan tours in 2025, T20s and ODIs, and Pakistan Test matches in 2026. TAPMAD will provide digital coverage of Pakistan, ensuring extensive reach across Pakistan through multiple platforms. So the other thing that we spoke about earlier was about the sacking of the singer, so don't need to get into that anymore. And if you don't have anything else on cricket, we could just touch a bit on the Toronto Marathon, which goes tomorrow.
Hmm.
In fact, it's a different format this year, and there's over 2 days. And it's actually there's a 5K run today, and so it starts today with a 5K, and then it seems like it's the most female entries ever for a Toronto marathon or 5K. So the females are getting into the act of either fitness or keeping up with the marathons. Have you thought about training for a marathon?
I have never thought about running a marathon, to be
No,
completely honest. I'm good with the 5K.
it's something I always
It's,
yeah, I just admire people can run that long time those marathons, and I don't know. I actually wonder how did they come up with the 26 miles
yeah.
that makes it, I don't know how they came up with that, but that's what it is. And look forward to the Toronto Marathon. Runners from 50 plus countries come to Toronto,
Mhm.
so it brings money into Canada for sure. There's a 5K run walk today, uh, and it's going to be something that the racers will be who are interested, people who are interested in racing, long racing actually. Toronto will be busy tomorrow and a lot of road closure.
We're having 25,000 runners expected at the Toronto Marathon. So
Um,
a lot of road closures downtown. But for those who are able to complete a marathon, I mean, hats off to you. I've never attempted. I don't think I am a long distance runner of that sort.
no, it's something that I was a sprinter, not long distance, and it's really not something that I ever thought. I am I can't I probably can if I wanted to, but run long, but never wanted to run long races. I think it's 2 hours and something normally,
Hmm.
so it's not. Kudos to those who do it, and a lot of athletes actually from long distance athletes are now transitioning into the marathon.
Hmm.
And if you look, I've, I've got some winners. And it seems like people who run the 10,000 and stuff, they probably just say they wanted something to challenge themselves.
Yeah.
And so we will, I'm not going to go down to watch it, but I'll watch it on TV. It's a start time tomorrow of 8 a.m. I said 26 miles, but Canada does with kilometers. So it's a 42 kilometers. If you can just imagine that, running 42 kilometers. And as I said, kudos to whoever runs those.
Yeah, I mean, I was born in the land of long distance running in Kenya, and to see all of those marathon runners that we produce is just, it's quite incredible. And the altitude helps a lot in that sense, in terms of training as well. But um, yeah, kudos to those runners. And I am always following to see if a Kenyans won it, whether it's men's or women's.
Right. Yeah, I've always been up there in the top. But the thing that kind of surprised me actually, it clashes with the Amsterdam, because you think that you're going
Yeah.
after the same people. So the Amsterdam Marathon is tomorrow as well,
Yeah.
and that will also attract some of the top runners. But looking back at the Toronto, where I see some of the things that they offer, and it's interesting to see what they offer for the people who are going to go to the 5K run. They say course restrictions. You have baby strollers are welcome for the 5K event only. So you can run with your baby if you want to do that 5K. And baby backpacks and skateboard rollers, etc., are not permitted. And there's always someone who probably tried to get in with something. So
You
But
know they specify because someone's tried it.
of course,
Someone's tried something crazy for that disclaimer to be there.
yes, for them to do that, they definitely, yeah, have someone has tried it. I saw something here says half marathon sold out, but is it something that for those is one of the events? Don't know the facts, but I was wondering if one of the events was something that you pay for as a fundraising or something. I'm not sure because I usually thought that these entries were invited.
No, I think you've got to pay to get in, and they've also partnered with the Princess Margaret Foundation,
Okay.
um, not for profit charities, I guess, in that sense.
Princess Margaret has been doing a lot of work, so marathons go tomorrow, and we'll keep an eye and see who the winners are. And next week, we will discuss and get back into who are the winners and losers, who are the top favorites, etc., and how did they fare. We're listening to the England Rogers Sports Hour on Love Bay Afrobeats Music Talk Radio. We just got about 3 minutes before we wrap up, Manali, but just wanted to quickly get into some soccer scores from the English Premier League.
Hmm.
And top of the table right now is my team is Chelsea, by the way. But the top of the table to Liverpool, Manchester is in second, Arsenal, Chelsea's down to sixth position, but they haven't played yet, so they're 14 points. Just they have to play today, and scores and fixtures so far: Spurs 4-1 over West Ham, Fulham and Aston Villa. These are halftime scores now. 1-1. Manchester United down 0-1. I don't think Theo will be too happy at halftime. Newcastle and Brighton Hove 1-0. Southampton 2-0 over Leicester City. Everton 1-0 over Ipswich. And Arsenal will play the late game against Bournemouth today. So those are the games for today. And for tomorrow, we've got Liverpool and Chelsea clash. So it's going to be a tough one for Chelsea. But as I said, I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm sticking with a Chelsea win. And Manchester City will play Wolverhampton Wanderers tomorrow.
You've got a lot of stuff to watch tomorrow, Engel.
Yeah, I mean that's how the weekends. I mean that's good for when the weather is not good. But we've been blessed with good women weather, so I'm just gonna say women, women's national league. I was gonna get into sorry weather this week. So yeah, it's been good. And the women's national league, Nations League, sorry, games on. I'm trying to find the national league, not the Nations League, because the women's game. Chelsea, as I said, is my team. So even for the women's game, I do support Chelsea. And it's the funny thing, if people ask me why do I support Chelsea, and it's because growing up, the team in the area that I live and my brother's team, it was Chelsea. So I guess I just grew up with that name. So
Fond memories from back in the day.
it's just, yeah. So I just supported Chelsea and then started watching them. And I just kept watching, the, every time I watch football, it's always a Chelsea game. So that's how I got into what supporting Chelsea in the Premier League. But it's not a thing that I watch regularly anymore because they have not been winning. But
Mhm.
yeah, because I one thing with me, I'm competitive and I don't like to see my team lose. I don't know if you have a team in the women's or men's league in the English.
Not in soccer, no. I jump on ship when we've got the Euros and FIFA.
But you have played soccer actually.
I have I have actually got back into it a couple of years ago as well, locally in the rec league, but there isn't enough time sometimes to follow everything between all the cricket stuff going on and my daily life.
Imagine it's not. It's not. Yeah, so now I found what I was gonna say a minute ago. We got Women's Super League. Chelsea's down in fourth spot, but that's because they've only played 3 games as compared to the other teams that played 4 and 5, and they 9 points. They haven't lost yet. And Manchester United are leading in the women's with 10 points. Brighton Hove Albion, they've got 10 points, and Manchester City has 10 points. So Chelsea right behind them. Manchester United and Brighton and Hove Albion played to a 1-1 draw this morning. And Manali, unfortunately, we've come to the end. It was a pleasure having you with me here today. And I hope we do this some other time again, that you'll join us. Even when Roger is here, we can get you on to talk some of the women's cricket or update us on what's happening. So, to everyone out there, thanks for listening. Be safe and have a good weekend.
Thank you so much for having me on as well.